So, hi everybody, welcome to our latest Positive and Productive Live. And I'm very pleased today to say that we have a guest presenter. So we've got, as you can see, Rachel Priestley from Streamline VA. If I just hand over to you quickly, Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for having me, Karen. Yeah, hi everybody. As Karen said, my name is Rachel Priestley. I'm a virtual assistant, online business manager. There are various variations of our names, and I'm from Streamline VA Services. Previously worked for 19 years in the NHS, building my way up from being an apprentice right through to being an executive assistant and business manager, leading a team of PAs.
Okay, right, thank you. So today, and the reason I asked you if you'd be willing to do this presentation for us today is all about emails. And it's something that I get so many questions about. And I've got to be honest, I teach a lot of this stuff myself, and I just find it a perpetual struggle. And I know so many other people do, and I know it's a source of a lot of stress for people. So can I hand over to you, and if you'd like to share a few tips and some information for us on how we can best manage our emails?
Certainly, yes. Yeah, I'll do my, obviously my very best. And just to say, obviously, everybody deals with emails very differently. So this is obviously from my perspective in helping a number of different people, both with my employed role in the NHS and independently. And I have, I work with a lot of people who have different levels of inbox management needs. So it's a lot about making that adaptable for the right person and for their needs. So I'm just going to, if I can, share my screen with you. And I just wanted to share with you a slide. Karen, can you see that okay, just to check?
I can see that, yeah.
Perfect. Right, so as you can see here, there's just it's just a model for email management, and it is a really simple model that I wanted to share with you today. So I just want to mention the inner circle there is about sending emails. So that's in terms of you creating and sending the emails. There's lots of different things that I could share with you about that, but just, the purpose of today is just to talk about your inbox management and emails that are coming into you. So just to mention about sending, I just want to make three key points and key messages that you can consider when you're thinking about that. And that is, think about why. You can see why, what, and who. So why are you emailing? Think about what you're emailing, and think about who you are emailing. And ultimately, is email the best form of communication? That is the key for everything. And actually, you are then helping other people manage their own inbox by really thinking about what you're sending and why. What are you hoping to achieve? Is it an urgent response? Because there's so many people who have phoned me just to tell me that they've just sent me an email, which is great, but it's an email, and that really puts the ball in my court of when I am able to respond to you. So if it's urgent, just pick up the phone. Best policy to do, pick up the phone. It just gets it sorted. So let's think about the outer box that I'm showing you today.
Okay.
So obviously there's some 5 key points there. We've got receiving, do it, delegate it, diarise it, and delete it. So when we're looking at those, we're just thinking about what I want to encourage you to think about here is you receive the email. What can you do straight away? So I have my inbox set up with a view panel. So I don't know how everybody sets theirs up, but I like to have my view panel, and I have it to the right hand side of my screen. And this means that I can view an email without having to open the email. Now, somebody may say it's really quick to open email, but actually it's an extra step in the process of opening an email. It's a tiny, tiny little win. Have it open on the screen. You can easily have a quick look at that. You can decide what's required of you for that email. And then the next thing to do is, if it takes less than 2 minutes and it's a response that needs to come from you, do it. And there we've hit the first point on this cycle. Okay. So that's all you're thinking about. Think about the 2-minute rule. What's required? Can I do it? Do it.
Right.
And then if the answer's no, then let's look at the next step. So then, if there's something that needs to change, if it's not possible for you to do it, let's think about delegating the email. So you can delegate it to another member of your team if you have another member of your team that can do that. If you can't do that, diarise it. If you know something's going to take you longer than 2 minutes, but it needs your attention, you're the only person that can do it, diarise it. So put some time in your diary. You've blocked out that time. You've made a commitment to doing a piece of work on that. And you know, you've guaranteed that you're going to respond. It might be that you need to respond to say, I have picked this up, I am going to work on it on this day. Make sure you set the expectations for the person that's waiting for you to respond, just to avoid that phone call.
Okay.
Have you got my email?
It sounds like the voice of experience to me.
Absolutely, yeah. And then, you know, the best one, you know, is to get rid of it. If, you know, if there's nothing you need to do with it, if it's one of the mail shots that come out, it's really important, but actually you've had a quick read, you've done it in 2 minutes, delete it. Don't keep, and everybody loves to keep emails. I know I keep a lot of emails if I need to refer back to them, but actually, do you need that email? If not, delete it. Having said that, as I've just said, people like to keep emails. They like to refer back. They like to have audit trails. They need to search for things. So the best thing there is to create some subfolders, create yourself an email filing system. And it can be, you know, it can be as simple or, you know, as you need it to be. And it could just be getting something out of your inbox. Your inbox, think about your inbox as the tool to receive the email. And that's all it should be. And actually you can then move it out. So you could move it into a folder that says to action. You could move it into a folder that says to read, because, you know, you can read that at your leisure. To action might be urgent. To action might be non-urgent. You know, you can break it down as much as you want to. There's lots of different ways that you can manage those emails coming in. Personally, I have a personal rule that I don't like to use my scroll on my mouse. If I have to scroll down the screen, my inbox is too full for me, because I know that if I scroll, I know that my head's getting quite busy, and that's when the overwhelm starts coming in for me. That's my point of overwhelm. So
here's me avoiding eye contact with you now, Rachel. In my inbox of shame. Okay. It
is really hard to do, and you know, if something, like I said, it's, you know, I've now got an Iwatch, which for my personal emails, it's not linked to anything to do with business, but it's linked to my personal emails. So it tells me when an email comes in, and I can immediately say, I don't need to read that, and I use my Iwatch. Delete, gone.
Okay.
Even better. Why did I need to delete it so quickly? Because it's a marketing email that I don't even want to receive. So let's go one step further. If you are signed up to lots of different marketing emails, you know the ones that you need to pull out that's got the key information, and you don't want to miss that information. But if you're getting, like me, 4 emails a day from JD Sports, I need to unsubscribe from that mailing list.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we have to accept as well that they're marketing, and their purpose is to gain our attention, but we see what's in it for them. But by doing the marketing well, they make it think that there's a FOMO, isn't there, and we're going to miss out if we don't do this. But I think you're right. Seriously, we've got to look at, will this really affect the quality of my life?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, like I said, there's the key things. And actually, a lot of the time, if I'm looking for something specific, actually that will remind me, do you know what? That's just come through. My son needed some new sports socks. That has immediately reminded me that I needed to do that. So, you know, these things are really, really helpful. But if you're receiving them and they're not going to help you and they're not of interest, you know, let's clear it out a little bit more. You're not getting those things in. To help you with your folders and your files, if you have the Outlook system, you can, this goes a bit deeper into it, but you can set rules so that emails that come in will automatically go into your preferred file. That is an option that you can put in place. So that's something to be, you know, to consider as well. It will help.
I just say on that one that I know you can do it and I get the rationale for it. I don't know what your thoughts are with this. It really scares me that if I can't see it there, I get worried I'm going to miss something.
Yeah. So this is where, again, I'm talking about Outlook because I'm an Outlook user. You should be able to, obviously, you should, at a glance, you can see your unread number. in those
Yeah.
subheaders. So it's about keeping on top. And if you've read something, so that's the other thing, if you have read something and then you then drag and drop it, there's nothing there to tell you that you still need to go and look at it.
Yeah.
So the reason I use the view panel, I have my view panel settings so that if I click on an email, it doesn't automatically mark it as read. I have to physically open that email for it to be read.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you can change those settings.
New tip for today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, you can change those settings so that it doesn't mark it as read. So if you're reading it in your reviewer panel and you think I'm going to drag and drop that into my read later folder, it will stay as unread and drag and drop straight in, and then that number will increase in that folder that you can see down the left hand side. Yeah, really helpful tip. And that tip I picked up from when I was an employed PA and I was managing other people's calendars. Then I knew they still needed to read it. So if I marked it as read, it would really confuse them about what's being read and what's being unread. So instead of having to right click and mark it as unread, I used the view panel and I didn't even have to, it didn't mark as unread at all. I didn't have to do anything. So that's a really helpful one as well. We've talked about unsubscribing. We've talked about getting organized with file management. The other one I just want to mention, and this is quite a stickler for me, is the subject line. You can be so clear on your subject line. And if you can imagine, if you start within your setting, your organization, your business, your school setting, if you start, people will tend to follow on. So if you start in your subject header being really clear about what you want for them. So, and I appreciate people say capital letters are shouting, but sometimes if you just put even didn't need to be capital, if you just put for information in the subject and then what it's about, or to action in the subject, it will immediately bring people's attention to that in their inbox. And if they're scrolling on the phone or wherever they are, they will see that, oh, that one needs my attention. That says I've got something to action. You are still in control of when you action it, but that's going to get your attention straight away. And then you'll respond to that and they'll know what it's about immediately. It's
kind of telling people what you want from them as well, isn't it?
From the start. And that's the other thing, if you might have a long bit of information you need to put in the email, but you could actually start the email with the question that you need answering. Tiny things like that, because you can imagine how long people read an email. It's taken them quite a few minutes. They've got to the end. They've kind of lost. They're not entirely sure what they need to do with it. They've, start from the end almost. Start with what you want to know, what you want from them. Why you are sending them that email. It's really helpful stuff. And like I say, it catches on. Other people do it. It's surprising how many other people do it. And I've also been known to, if I receive an email, because quite often people will send me emails and start talking about something else within an email. So there's two subjects. It started with one subject and it's turned into something else. When I reply, I actually change the subject header to be about what we are now talking about. Because when I file that email, I need to find it again. And if it's with a different subject header that's unrelated, that's going to be really difficult. So,
and I think that's a kind of a throwback to the early days of email, isn't it? That it was almost this unwritten rule that the title was the title, the subject is the subject.
Yeah.
And then you end up on a thread that's about something completely different with the wrong title on it.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it harder for people to pull out what they need to do from it. The other thing which, Outlook, again, if you're an Outlook user, they've brought in is you can tag people. So if you've got 3 people and you've got an action for each of those people, you can use the @sign, start typing their name, and it will tag them into that section of the email as well. That's another really helpful thing. Or don't be afraid to bold, use the bold on certain sections. If you just want to pull out that question and it's in the middle of a 10-line paragraph, don't be afraid to make it bold, because you're ultimately helping them. You're helping the receiver. So it's little things like that there are always wins, and other people will pick it up, but actually ultimately it will help you when you're getting it back in, you're getting a reply, in terms of your file management system and picking things up. So they are in a nutshell some top tips around what you can do with your inbox. A final one just to finish on is, and I know Karen, we've talked about it, is just your notifications. We have talked about it because I know it's a bugbear for you and me. I turn off all. When I'm working on my laptop, my desktop, I do not have any notifications for my emails coming through, because for me, it's just a distraction. Immediately, I want to know what it is, and I need to read it, and I need to respond to it. And that immediate feeling comes over me of the need to do that. And it just, again, it's almost overwhelm immediately of what is this? What do I need to do? What have I got to do? So to be in control of that, I would suggest turning off your notifications, and also trying to diarise time when you are ready to look at your inbox. That would be my, the biggest sort of key thing to pull from this.
And I'm seeing people do that much more. In fact, an associate of mine, I received an email back today that says he's checking around about 9 o'clock, have a quick check-in at lunchtime, and then he'll be checking again around about 4 o'clock. And again, that really helps me, because as you say, I know that if I need to contact him urgently, I will need to call him. I'll need to attract his attention in a different way.
Yeah, that is a perfect out of office, or even just you for an out of office is not just for when you are out of the office. You can tell people exactly how your working week is planned. You will reply between this time and this time. Your working days are this, and this.
Yeah.
All helpful stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Right. Thank you so much. Some nuggets of gold as usual. This is great, isn't this? Because we work together all the time, and I've still come out with 2 new things today that I didn't really know about. So I'm just wondering if there are any questions. You can pop those in chat. In the meantime, I've got a couple, as you'd expect. Now, people keep talking to me about inbox zero, and I see it like this mythical land that I could only wish for. Do you have inbox zero then, because you've cleared everything out?
No, absolutely not. No, I try and work the model that I've just shown you. I try and work to that model, but it's also about finding the right way for you. And I'd rather have less subfolders, and I'd rather, because I know that I action my inbox so regularly and I don't like to scroll below, that offers me some flexibility to use the other tools within Outlook, because I'm obviously Outlook again, I mentioned that. So I tend to use the flagging system and the category systems, and the tasks. I use the tasks, but actually more so flagging and category, because that will bring my attention to where I need to use it. The tasks are really helpful for something that you might want to keep in your inbox and then bring forward, but I know I don't need to worry about it. Even if it's getting close to the bottom of that screen, it's okay, because it's got a flag, and it's a slightly different, it's like a lighter flag, because it's future tagged to a task. There's different ways of sort of using the system, and I use a mixture of my diary, and I use my inbox, and use the tasks and flagging system and categories, because it really, really helps, especially if you're working with other people. For those that do have any shared inboxes, it's really helpful that you've got an agreement between you all on how that inbox works and how you view that inbox.
Yeah, that would just be carnage otherwise, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think a zero inbox is asking a lot of anybody. I think, because that to me tells me that somebody is immediately jumping on that email as soon as it comes in.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what that would tell me.
Yeah. So I think the thing is as well, one of the things that you've talked about is kind of getting these marketing newsletters. Now, obviously, anything that comes from Brightbird, anything that comes from Streamline should be saved, absorbed, acted upon, because it's just amazing information, isn't it? But I think there is something in there about, because I have such good intentions, I sign up to things that really give me great value in content and things like that, but I rarely have the time to properly read them. And I've probably got loads of, in fact, I think that's probably what's in my, littering the bottom of my inbox. Are all these things where the road to hell being paved with good intentions, really, that I really do intend to read them, but I never quite get round to it. I don't know if you've any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because I have a bit of a rule, a sort of a personal rule, in that I do move them into a subfolder for my reading. And it's a bit like filing as well. If you have to file the actual, who files paper things? But if you did have to do that, if you haven't looked at that and give yourself a limit, if I haven't looked at that email, really, and I've really taken an interest and I've actually put some time aside in my diary to look at those emails, should they really be there? Are you really that interested in looking at them? I think it's just having that, and it's actually, don't feel guilty. The other thing is the guilt feeling. Don't feel guilty for not reading it, because actually you've reprioritized and things have changed and you might be in a different place to when you signed up for that that email 6 months ago. So
unless it's Brightbird or Streamline.
Absolutely.
But that is such a good point though about the emotional draw. I mean, I know I talked about it in the last live that we did when we looked at things like notifications, but it is that emotional pull. But just knowing how much energy that takes from you mentally, emotionally, gets in the way of your productivity, doesn't it? I mean, I certainly know that for thinking about people like schools, public sector, and we both have some background in the public sector, and that kind of stuff that comes out, this internal spam, and that you're just bombarded with it, and from every department there's a newsletter, and then the unions, and then different departments and all the rest of it, and that stuff again, it's kind of sent out with good intention, but I know from experience you can end up with so much of it in your inbox you can't possibly digest it. And I think there's something about maybe giving yourself permission there, isn't there? And I think for any managers that are listening, of again, if something really needs flagging up, flag it up to your team and say you really need to read item 2 on here. But just give people permission, perhaps. I don't know. Again, be interested in your thoughts on that.
I would agree, and I think if you've got somebody, if there's you and I, and we're individuals were working independently, we are responsible for that feeling and those feelings and those thoughts. I think in a wider team there are other people as well, but like you said, the managers have can share the communication, but I think things like that is where you can put in additional processes internally within teams, and you can almost say, right, somebody is going to have a role within this team. I only want you to receive this newsletter because the rest of the team have a lot to do as well. So it's just let's make it somebody's role, and it could be that it changes between and somebody picks this up. There might be within a school there'll be a business manager or office administrator perhaps that could really sit there and really read through. They will have it scheduled in their diary to do it, pull out the key messages and just tell everybody what the key messages are. And I think that's a really helpful thing, because a lot of it won't be significant for them, or there'll be different people that need to know different things. I think that's a really key thing. It's really helpful actually to do that. Use your team, use your supports.
It's just too easy to copy all, isn't it? Just too easy, really. So, which goes back to the sort of centre part of your wheel. So thank you. Like I say, such golden nuggets there for us all to work on, and hopefully everybody's going to have at least one thing that you can take away that's going to improve their email life a little bit. So just really quickly to close off, if people wanted to get in touch with you, Rachel, because I know you do a little bit on social media, but where do people find you?
Yeah, I'll just pop this one up. Hopefully everybody can see that one. So very quickly, you can get hold of me by email, and I do have a website, but also Facebook and LinkedIn, and simple Google, just a simple Google. You can find everything on Google. You can find me on Google as well.
That's great. So again, thank you very much. And we'll, as usual, we'll put this recording onto the training dashboard as well, so everybody will be able to access this and come back and listen again too. So once again, thanks, Rachel. And I think the next live is on the 7th of July, and we have another guest speaker then too, and we're going to have Rachel Shaw, who's going to talk to us about yoga and a little bit of mindfulness, I believe. So that's a complete departure from the usual stuff as well. So thanks very much, everybody, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.